All right, we are live. We are live. Welcome, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We are on to another episode of the Authority Project. You are the project, and we want to slap authority to you so you can sell what you're great at. And while you're selling what you're great at, things can get muddled. Things can get all over the place, as I've testified to my guests and co-host today, JoAnn Krall. Hope I got that right.
You did. You did. Yep.
And we are talking about organizing your business so you can profit and be more efficient. And she can explain more of that as we go along. But please let us know, JoAnn, a little bit about you first personally and then professionally.
Personally, I'm from Massachusetts, just like Brian. I'm married to my high school sweetheart. We have two daughters who are now 20 and 22, and got a little dog sitting behind me.
Nice.
And yeah, so I've been a mom for that long, which is, I know seems crazy, but I could certainly have much older children. But yeah, so and professionally, I've been a professional organizer for 14 years now. And the past 3 to 5 years, actually the past 5 years, I've been working online. And the past 3 years, it's been solely online. I only work with people virtually now. So I don't go into businesses or homes anymore. It's all done through coaching and programs.
Very nice. Very nice. So I'm not sure if you know how I do things. I kind of wing it. So we're winging everything.
I like winging it. I think I told you that. I said, you tell me what we're talking about.
So here we go. Let's take the current place that we're in right now. Millions and millions, not of only just Americans, but people around the world laid off. They don't have a job. The pandemic is crushing. Yes, sometimes we can get assistance, sometimes we don't. But we're trying to start this business, right? We're trying to do something different. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of time, but we don't know how to, put that together in a way that is efficient and, best shows us how to work a daily schedule. Because we're used to maybe having a job, maybe a side hustle. We come home from 9 to 5, we go to, from the job and try to work a few hours here and there. But now we have all this time. Some people don't. Some of us don't. I will say that some of us don't have that. Some people still have jobs. But how do we work that maybe from having all this time, maybe having a little bit of time? So I'm giving you like two different things, so you can go with that.
Well, and some of us have, some of us who have already been working from home, are being inundated with, like, typically my husband's sitting behind, we share an office, but usually he's off at the office, but now he's home all the time on the phone call. So I got distractions of that. More kids are home. Like I said, one of my older daughters, she works for herself. She does video, so she can't leave and go do that anywhere. So she's home all the time. And my younger daughter is in college, so she's just home, and there's no internships available. So all those distractions are added on as far as what's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's really, the most important thing you can do is, when people talk about time management, the best thing, and I always equate this to people who are trying to maybe lose weight or keep track of what they're doing, is, food journaling. So I always tell people to do time management journaling. So choose a period of time that you want to do, what represents you best. You may need a whole week to do this. You may only need a couple of days because your days may be similar. But literally tracking everything that you're doing. So from the time you wake up in the morning, it's painstaking because you're going to write down, okay, I got up at this time, I walked the dog. It took me 20 minutes. Okay. Then I came home. I had coffee for this amount of time. How much time you spent on social media, how much time you actually spent working, what you were working on. And then in addition to that, now what I've been telling people is anytime you're distracted. So, maybe someone comes in to ask you a question and that stops you from your work. Write that down. So-and-so came in at this time. And then I didn't get back to working until this time, because sometimes it's not just the distraction. They came in and interrupted you. then it's like, well, how much time did it take you to get back to what you were working on? Because sometimes you go, oh, let me go check Facebook, or let me go check Twitter. You know what I mean? So just knowing that
Yeah.
the most important thing is knowing where your time is going. Because we think we've been doing stuff all day long, which we have,
Yeah.
but how much of that is actually productive? And we can't really change our habits until we know what we're doing. So it's really important to be able to see, okay, I spent, 5 hours on social media. Some of us have to because we do that for business, but, really being, mindful of, well, maybe since I have to use social media for business, maybe I should be setting certain times during the day to do that, and only, and not going in and checking, replies and all of that, just setting your time. And then what was the other thing you were saying, going from having too much time to
Yeah.
too little time? I guess it
Yeah.
kind of works both
Right.
ways, just
Right.
knowing what you're doing. Because, when we go off to a, a 9 to 5 job or an office, we show up, we usually have our routine, we get into the
Yep.
office and we do our work, and
Right.
yeah, of course people are fiddling around sometimes at the office, but without that structure, you have to provide yourself some sort of structure when you're working from home.
Awesome. And I want to say hi to Mark and Joshua that made some comments in the air, just saying hello. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Okay. So let's talk about that then. Distractions.
Hmm.
I remember something that caught me when I was listening to Russell Brunson, I think a couple weeks ago, and he says, "Guys, don't be on social media. Do your business on social media, then get off." Very
Hmm.
hard for me. I'll admit it. Very hard for
Yeah.
me to not be the guy who scrolls on the phone.
Hmm.
How do you deal with that aspect when say like my biggest thing right now is like me being having this building this platform on Facebook. I see that little thing popping up. There's 10 people on, 10 notifications, 10 somebody on my message, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom. How do you deal with that in making that the not as distracting as it seems, I guess?
Yeah. Well, the way I personally do it is I do have my notifications turned down, but the only thing I have, say, on my phone is the badges. So the little number will pop up, but I don't get any notifications like popping up or coming through. Nothing like that. Unless I'm in like launch mode and I need to get those notifications right away if people are asking
Mm-hmm.
questions.
Mm-hmm.
But, just for everyday, stuff, I just have it set so that when I pick up my phone, I'll see that little number and, kind of train myself to say, all right, nothing's important. I didn't, because,
Okay.
the thing is, you're probably very much like me. If I make a post, I like to respond to people
Right.
pretty quickly. I don't like to just leave it hanging. So, um, sometimes people will say, okay, just go in and do your business and get out. But if you're in the business of making relationships, that
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Right.
You have to interact with people.
Right.
So I do that. And on my computer, if I have Facebook open, I don't, same thing, just the little notification number will pop up, but I don't get any Google pop-ups. I don't get any sounds, nothing like that, because
Okay.
sounds are very distracting. And I have that with everything. The
Okay.
only sounds that will pop up on my phone would be if I got a call from my husband or my daughters. And that's it, because those are the only people that I would be hearing from in an emergency. Everything else is silenced, throughout the day.
Awesome. And Amir
Yeah.
chimed in here saying controlling the flow of your notifications will help you focus. Yeah. So my thing is, do you have a set time where you follow up, or are you got like me? You like to follow up right away on, or just on certain times of doing that? Because I know.
So I do have a routine where, like, after I walk the dog and I have my coffee, I give myself time in the morning to look at social media. So anything that may have come in, from the prior day, I will look at. And then I will pretty much ignore everything unless I've personally made an important post. So if I've made a post where I'm asking for engagement,
Mm-hmm.
then I will just kind of keep looking at that here, throughout whatever I'm doing, unless I'm working on something that I need to focus. Then I just won't. But the point there is, if I'm working on something that I need to focus on, I wouldn't make a post like that, because I don't want to post and run like a lot of people do. A lot of people will just post and then just not respond for days,
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
I got a
Yeah.
few.
So I usually do
Yeah.
that. And then I usually check it in the evening and make
Okay.
sure,
Yeah.
yeah. But
I'll,
like, for
I'll,
example, we were talking, I made sure my messenger was open because, I knew we were going to be talking today. So I want to make sure if you need to get a hold of me, I have that notification. I look at those type of
so
things.
do it when the time comes when you need to be working in some kind
Yeah.
of capacity. Gotcha.
Hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
We got two more comments from one from Don Long here. It's not on here, but it's my personal profile. It says Facebook is a huge distraction for her.
Hmm.
And Mike Freeman chimed in and says, "I know her," which is I'm saying to you. I know her, and she's great. So that's wonderful.
Oh, who said that? I can't see.
Mike Freeman.
Oh, Mike. Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
So so yeah. So I guess take us through maybe a day of your own, or how you would coach your clients to go through a day that's organized, efficient, and great. I have no other words but that.
Yeah.
You know.
So most of my clients are coming to me because they are truly like disorganized. So, when I'm working with them, I'm helping them reduce as much as they possibly can. And then when we get to the point where we're trying to get into productivity, I guess brain dumps are super important. I personally do them in the evening before I go to bed so that everything's out of my mind. So it's literally just writing down, free writing every single thing that you can think of. I mean, it could be just, I
Okay.
have to make a dentist appointment. Oh, I have to book a live stream. It just anything, whether it's personal business, not even thinking about what it is. So I always empty my brain
So you just write it down,
um,
pen and
before
paper.
bed. Just write it down.
Okay.
You may never even look at it, but the act of writing it down is super important, because then you're not worrying about what you're thinking of. What I'll do is if I did write something down that I need to remember, I'll often just highlight it. So, it's
Okay.
something I need to do the next day. But usually, if it's something I need to do the next day, I've already scheduled it. I already have it on my calendar.
Okay.
So it's just a reminder for me to look at my calendar. So ideally for people, you know, having that master to-do list, and that can evolve over time. And it's usually, for me, it's just doing that brain dump, and then I have a master to-do list. So preparing for the next day is ideal. I don't do that. I wake up in the morning. And I decide what I want to focus on that day based on what
Yeah.
I'm doing. So now, if I'm doing a big launch or a project, I have a whole schedule set out for that. But for everyday stuff, like right now, currently, I'm just working on, copywriting and marketing and all that. I don't have a set schedule. I don't have a set time. So when I woke up this morning, I knew I had some client call, and then I knew I was doing this. So in the morning, I just said, okay, I'm just going to focus on, getting as much marketing type stuff I can get done. So knowing what you're going to get done, but also keeping a schedule, of important things, so that you don't miss important meetings.
Yeah.
And that can be, it doesn't have to be digital, it could be a paper schedule, could just be a list. It's really finding what will work for you, and you will look at it. For me, I love post-it notes. So I always have one in the beginning of the day where anytime something pops into my brain that I have to remember, I just write it down. So I'm not going, oh, I got to go put that in my calendar. I have to go do this. So write it all down. And then
Okay.
at the end of the day, I'll then process it. Okay, all right, I wrote this down. This is something that needs to go into my calendar.
Okay.
This is something that needs to go on my to-do list. This
Right.
is something that needs to, whatever, be done, the next day, important. So,
And
and now I've,
that was my next question. Like digital as opposed to, um, I guess saying non-digital, paper and
yeah,
pen,
analog,
notebook.
yeah,
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 because like
notebook and pen, yeah.
I've seen, I've had notebooks and notebooks and notebooks to do nothing but waste my time and just have stacks of notebooks
Hmm.
with notes, 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 and nothing being done. And then
Right.
I've done the same thing with digital, where it's like in my schedule, a calendar, and I still don't adhere to it.
Hmm.
So, is there is there an ideal way to do this? Is there a balance? Should you do like I say I like how you're doing it with the post-it where you do this and then maybe digitize it later. Is that
Yeah.
the secret? Is that the secret sauce, JoAnn?
That's a secret for me. So that's the
Okay.
key. I don't do anything cookie cutter. It took me years to give in to finally doing a digital calendar. Like I was paper and pen all the time because I need to write it down, cross it out. But I still have a paper calendar, but
Okay.
I do everything digitally. So I have the Google Calendar, and then I have my client scheduler, and I have those talking to each other.
Yeah.
So that, if I book this live stream with you today, that means nobody can book with me, because once I put it in my calendar, it talks to each other. So I think for businesses, or business people running a business, is very important to do what you will use, right? So if you're saying you use a digital calendar and you're not using it, then it's not effective. And if writing it down and having a calendar on the wall, some people need it on the wall, some people need it
Okay.
on their desk, some people need it to carry it, like it's really about what works for you. So I always tell people, like, what have you been doing? Because we've all been using calendars since for forever, right? So it's thinking about what you've tried, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and why. Maybe, like, why is the digital calendar not working for you? Is it because you're just not opening it and looking at it? That could very be the reason, or, and if that's the case and you need a paper calendar, maybe you need that calendar right on your desk, that it's in your face when you wake up, when you start working, it's right there and everything's on it. It's really about thinking about what you've tried. Did it work? Did it not work? If it didn't work, really thinking about why it didn't work. And sometimes you just need that second set of ears or eyeballs to talk through it with you to find out why.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the side hustlers real quick, because I have a client who's dealing with this right now, where she's working 40 hours a week, doing retail, and it's hard. You're doing the 40 hours a week, you come home, you're tired, and how do you process trying to make that transition from side hustle to full-time hustle, where you have this weight of this job that's weighing you down? You hardly even like to, you might have an hour maybe to do something at night, hour or two. And how do you focus on having that type of time where you have very little time to work with?
Yeah, that's just really about, finding what the priorities are. So this is where it's really important to know what you're doing and where you're spending your time, so focusing on the priorities of really, what do I work on next, and if you only have an hour, just literally schedule that time and spend the time working on that one thing and not trying to do it all. Because I think we were talking about this, I don't know, I think we were talking this before we went live, but as entrepreneurs, we are creative and we're thinking in a million different directions. Many of us have ADD. Most people have ADD anyways. I know it's a classified thing, but just we as humans do that. We tend to get distracted. But I think that a lot of times we as entrepreneurs have that as well. And so, as you're coming from this job, you're exhausted, but you really want to work on your side hustle because you want to leave that other job. So it's just about scheduling and prioritizing what you need to work on. So maximizing the use of that time.
And that time should be what's going to get you to the most money quickly. Is that correct?
I think, like a lot of people will spend time, they're like, okay, I'm going to start, I'm going to start this business, so I need a website. Well, maybe you don't need a website right away. You need to be doing other, other things. So it's doing that brain dump of, okay, here's my side hustle. What is everything that I know? Because you may not know everything that you need to do when you're starting it, but what is everything I know I need to do, and write it all down and then prioritize it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess my last question is just like the importance. When we say organize and you can profit quickly, that kind of thing, what does that really mean? Will people believe that coming off of this show? Tell them why it's so important and why this is what you do, and how you've helped clients in this way and how that's helped them with their results. and the reason why this is so important and why you're doing this for pretty much, I guess, this is your life thing. What you do.
Yeah. So being organized as an entrepreneur, you have to be organized because you have to be able to um, communicate effectively with your clients. That was funny how that didn't come out effectively. Communicate effectively. So meaning like, if you have a client, you want to make sure that you're following up properly. So you want to have all of the information about that client organized in some fashion. Money going out. You want to know what you're spending and what you're making, and you want to know how much you should be spending and based on what you're making or not making, like how much debt can you incur before, and keeping track of those. A lot of us I'll use StreamYard, for example. I purchased StreamYard for a year. So I have it in my calendar when that's up so that I know. I mean, I don't think I'm going to delete it, but I know when that's coming up.
Yeah.
It's really important to know and evaluate, has it been worth my money, for what I'm doing. I do that with Zoom. Zoom is a essential part of my business. I have to use it. And so to me, that's worth it. But I still have that in my calendar. This is when it comes up and this is how much is due. What else? Having your finances organized. So you don't have to have an elaborate accounting software, especially if you're not, spending a lot of money or bringing in like a lot of money, but you want to have something in place to at least keep track of that until you start really bringing in the money, and then you can, change your system. So it could just be a simple spreadsheet. And so keeping all your if you have a lot of paperwork for your business, making sure that that's organized, but digitally is a big one for people, because if they're doing marketing, I can tell you most people that I work with, their desktop on their computer is covered with downloads, because we're very much consumers of information. We download every PDF checklist we can find, ebook, all of that. So we have all those out there that are messing with our brain. And we're saying, oh, we got to do that. But really we need to, we have to be mindful about that, but also just, making sure that we're not spending all of our time learning and just pulling stuff in. And then graphics for social media and and ideas is a big one, because you said like the notebooks, right? Your notebooks could have notes from webinars you've taken. They could be notes or you thought of a great idea. So keeping those organized. Right. And there's, I always tell people, because I know a lot of people have all these ideas and they want to enact them all. And I say, just pick one or two if you need to pick a second one, and put those other ones away. Don't throw them away. Just put them aside so they're not in your vision, because that is a big distraction for us. Thinking about all the things that we could be doing, should be doing, type of thing. And what did I miss? I had some notes, but and a big thing is too, having standard operating procedures. So say you're creating a webinar and you're going through all the steps. It's good to write those steps down as you're doing it. So the next time you go do it, you cannot have to think about, what did I do there? So that efficiency of having the standard operating procedures of whatever you're doing, so for me, it's like a client comes in, what's my procedure? They book, this happen, you know what I mean? So literally step by step by step. And that's helpful too, because when you eventually go to scale, and if you want to bring in people, you've already got the procedures there. You don't have to train them.
That's a great point. That's awesome. I love that. I love that. And Dawn is saying she loves Post-it notes. It's a great tip.
So do I.
I got, I think a lot of people are saying that. I think I gotta, usually I can just go to the store and get some, but not today. So
I'll leave some on my front porch if you want to drive by. Yeah, they Post-it notes are really good for people who don't tend to.
I think we got you frozen. Oh no.
Oh no.
Okay, I got you now.
Okay. Post-it notes are really good for people with ADD or people that just, I try to keep everything in my brain, and I know I can't. So I just, even if I've written something down 10 times, it's okay. You just keep writing it down because it keeps popping in your brain. You keep writing it down, and eventually it will get done.
Awesome. I think we got everything. Unless it's I'm not sure if I have it, but that's You nailed it. I love it. I love it. And I'm taking down some. I'm gonna do my whole big makeover now for my organ. I'm gonna get some
Just
post-its for sure.
evaluate
Yeah.
what you've been doing and
Yes.
see where
Track
you can.
everything. Track everything.
Yeah,
I know that
yeah.
too. It's kind of sometimes you just need somebody to remind you about tracking because it's just such a huge thing.
It really is. I mean, it's because we think we know what we're doing, but
Yeah.
when we really write it down, because just like when you think you know what you're eating all day long, when you really write it down, you're like, oh, wow, I was
Right.
eating that, and yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Okay, well, great, great. That wraps that up. So tell us before you go,
Yeah.
how people can see you, how can they can get in touch with you, online or otherwise.
Yeah, so my website is joannkrall.com, spelled just like it is there. And I'm pretty much JoAnn Krall on all the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, it's JoAnn Krall, the Sensible Organizer. And then, yeah, it's pretty easy. My name is pretty easy to find. It's not common.
Awesome, awesome,
Yeah,
everybody. Thank you so much for the people who
thank you.
chimed in here and had great comments for us today. Really appreciate you, Joanne, coming through. Us Bostonians got to stick together.
Hmm. Hmm.
So great. And stick around. We'll talk to you a little bit afterwards, but we're good to
Okay.
go here at the Authority Project. We're here to attach authority to your name so you can sell what you're great at. Organize first through all that process to help
Hmm.
you sell even better, right? So thank you so much. Love you
Thank you.
guys. Be blessed. Thank you, Joanne, for coming in here, and we'll see you on the next episode. All right. Take care.
Thank you.